Welcome to Next Steps, a podcast from Blackhawk Church. We believe that following Jesus is a lifelong journey, so no matter where you're at, there's always a next step to take. Each week on this podcast, we'll create space for real conversations about the questions we wrestle with, the challenges we face, and the hope we find in Jesus. Our goal isn't to have it all perfectly figured out, but to walk faithfully towards Jesus together. We're so glad you're joining us. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Next Steps podcast. My name is Chris. I'm one of the hosts and grateful to be with you all today. We're in kind of this behind the scenes series where we're talking to different ministry leaders here at Blackhawk Church and just talking about some of what God is doing around Blackhawk Church and different ministries and different communities. And today, I am super excited to be to be joined by Susan Demel, who is over our Impact Ministry. Susan, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. See, you guys, this isn't intimidating. I was the first person to mess up already, and here we are. And Adam Penning, our pastor of Blackhawk Downtown. Adam, how's it going?
It's going well, Chris. Good to see you.
I sometimes wish this was a visual medium. Like Adam has amazing pants on right now, kind of like they're my favorite pants that you
They're
wear,
my fun
Adam.
pants.
I really
yeah.
love those.
They're train engineer pants.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I'm just painting a picture of what the room is like right now. Susan's sitting on a purple couch, and Isaac's here with us behind the scenes as well. So there you go. We're just letting you in on how all this goes. And
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes, pulling back the curtain. And so today, excited to talk about Impact Ministry a little bit at a high level about. I'll let you dig into that, Susan, how we have different partnerships and really try to be a blessing and love and serve our local community and also places and organizations and partners around the world. So I'll let you get into that. And then Adam, too, we have different partnerships at different sites and around Blackhawk Church, and he's going to dig into a couple of the downtown ones in particular and just talk about what God has been up to. But Susan, why don't we start with you? For someone who has no idea what the Impact Ministry does here at Blackhawk, can you give us a little bit of background on, well, first of all, how long have you been here doing this? And then what does Impact Ministry entail here at Blackhawk Church?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So I have been here almost 17 years already.
What? 17?
So 16 and a half-ish. So July will be 17, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm getting older.
Aren't we all?
Don't believe it. I
Are we
don't
all?
believe it.
So yeah, almost 17 years. And so that whole time that I've been here, I've been the Impact Ministry Director. Same office, same seat. Different chair, actually. I got an upgrade in the chair, which is helpful for my back.
Good.
But
17 years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I've been in this type of role for all my ministry life. Before I was in ministry, I was actually a fashion designer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Most people don't know that.
I didn't know that either.
So, yep. So, but this is really where my passion lies and some of my gifting. And so I came from another church to this role. Like I said, 16 and a half years ago. So Impact Ministry is what other churches would call missions. Sure. Local, national, global. Blackhawk decided to be fancy with the name and calls it Impact Ministry. So it's about impacting. It is a good word, actually, but impacting our communities and global communities. And so there's a lot that Impact does, has done over the years, and is still doing that. I think probably 95% of Blackhawkers probably don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so it's really everything. I'll try to give maybe kind of a quick rundown of not all the weeds, but just some of the big rocks of impact. And so, as you mentioned, Chris, there's, of course, locally we're engaged and involved. And what that looks like is a little thing called Love Madison. That's going to be coming up here soon. So keep your eyes open for that, folks. love Madison, and that Advent Conspiracy falls within Impact. And so you guys know about that every year. And then those are two really big kind of initiatives that are pretty well known. But the lesser known things are things like our partnerships, which are just as important.
Yeah.
And those are our community partnerships. And so we're going to have Adam dive into that a little bit. But what we do is we have partnerships with local organizations who are doing really great work. And so we are just very much about partnership here. We don't believe we're called to have basically replicate all these different services and different things that are in the community when people are really, people of good faith are really doing that already. Yeah. We believe partnering, coming alongside those efforts is kind of the way to go. And so as we do that, we have relationships and partnerships with schools and food pantries and all sorts of different organizations. And that has changed the look of that a little bit. From when we used to be one site, this just big old Brader Way, right? And then we used to have all those partnerships come out of Impact Ministry at Brader Way. But once we started getting sites, we really believed the model made sense to kind of shift to a multi-site model, like everything else was shifting, and just really have the sites develop specific partnerships as well. And so we really now, as Impact Ministry, really come alongside our sites and to help support that to happen. Yep. And so then we also have national and international things we do. And so those are Go teams that many of you have heard of, and maybe a couple have been on. I would encourage you to consider applying for Bolivia. That's coming
Bolivia's
up.
coming up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and we do student teams through student ministries, and there's all sorts of, so a really kind of exciting, cool thing that's recently happened is actually Blackhawk Chinese Ministry has did a previous Go team to Cambodia, and they're looking at doing one in Taiwan. And so that's kind of a new thing for us, right? Bringing the multicultural into the mix. So the other thing we do, which again, I don't think a lot of people know this, is Global National Servants. Yeah. That program, that's basically what other churches would call missionaries. We call servants. And we have probably about 25 to 30 families and couples who we support. And so what I mean by support is we give financially, we give relationally, and we pray. Yeah. And those are the things we try to go, kind of deep with them. We when I first started here, we had like, I don't know, a crazy amount, like 60, 70, like just a ton. And we were able to just not go very deep with them. Yeah. And so we've really whittled that down intentionally just to be able to really be better stewards and really go deeper in relationship and partnership and financial support.
Yeah. I love that. Like, as someone who has served overseas and been partnered with different churches before, you don't always get the relational and even the prayer side of things. They'll write you a check, but then you're kind of on your own. And we have good friends who are global partners, right? You know who I'm talking about with the Whitneys. Yeah. And just to see the way that like you've poured into them as a team, like they don't just know you, they know your team, and you guys have loved and supported them really well is really cool to see. So I love the way that your team and we as a church get to come alongside those partners and do that in a little different way. Yeah. So that's really cool.
And we have I don't want to forget to mention that we have this little thing called Mother and Child, which is actually a really big thing here at Brader Way. Yeah. I mean, it actually has its own room. It's awesome. So we've been doing that. I mean, that started before I got here. Yeah. So that's been great. That we were just telling a story about how our leader, Marilyn Beach, went shopping for baby snowsuits, which... Baby snowsuits.
That's a thing. Yeah.
It's apparently a thing.
Baby's got to stay warm too.
Yes. I bet they're really cute. But anyway, so she was shopping for those, and the owner, she struck up a conversation. The owner didn't know about Mother and Child. Once she learned, she donated all of it, all the suits that Marilyn was going to purchase for free for the work of the ministry. So that was stuff like that happens all the time. Yeah. And then we have there's a couple other things we have Cooking for Good, which is really cool. and Adam might talk about this a little later, but I'm going to talk about it right now, Adam.
Do it.
Cooking for Good is a team of people who are there's separate teams. One's at Brader Way and one's at Downtown. And we basically utilize the industrial kitchens at those facilities, which is such a great idea. And so what we do is we make meals. And so the one for Downtown is with the Beacon, which Adam will talk about. The one for Brader Way is with Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, otherwise known as DAIS, DAIS. And it is an amazing thing to just be able to make a meal for all the women and children who are at that shelter. And you can stop for a second and imagine that life and what it means to them to be able to have a night off and be able to relate with each other and with their kids and eat really good food from this group of people you're not going to meet who care for you for some reason. And the reason is because obviously God cares for them and we love them. And those have been just so popular with our congregation. Some of you listening might be on those teams. And it is just such a privilege to be able to love and serve. But when we love and serve, we learn. It's not about us coming in. We're always really careful about that and want to train. Anytime we talk about impact ministry or serving in the community, we're not about fixing somebody. People are not projects. This is about loving and serving. And this is about building goodwill. And so many of you do that. And I thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. When I walk into the kitchen on those Sundays where they're starting up, I'm like, oh man, it smells so good in here. It's like amazing what they do. And yeah, the show of dignity and value and worth that shows those families is just incredible. I want to back up to mother-child resource stuff for just a second. I'm sure you could share story after story, but even myself, whether it was times when we were in the hospital for our own kids' births or my wife is in the medical field, and there have been times over the years where we have conversations with people in those places and they're just like, they find out that you go to Blackhawk Church, right? This is like a common thread that a lot of us have experienced. And it's like, oh my gosh, your church does so much to come alongside of new moms and like their time of need. And they're always just like blown away and so appreciative of that ministry and our church. And so it's one of my favorite things that we do. I'm really grateful that we get to be a part of that and have incredible volunteers that work with that too.
Yeah. And it's, the moms and the kids, but imagine the moms and the babies, it's nurses, it's hospitals.
Yeah.
I mean, we're known because of that love. We are known in the community, not just again by the folks who Marilyn and her team, who they, drop off maybe a bag of clothes to, but actually the people who call for a woman who's there who has nobody, no family network.
Yep.
And they're interacting too, right? And so it's actually, it's been hundreds and probably thousands of people, including the little babies that have been affected in positive ways.
And loving and serving our community or organizations nationally and abroad, like all of that is good in and of itself, like things that like is worshipful and glorifies God. And we have this phrase around here that good works leads to goodwill, can lead to good news. And so even as we establish these relationships and kind of get the respect of people and partners around us. God does something with that and uses that in a significant way.
We've had people who've come to actually visit on a Sunday because they were served in some way.
Oh, wow.
And because they heard about us or they saw us helping or serving or something like that. And through that, said, okay, I'm gonna check out what I kind of get a sense of them. I'm gonna go check them out
Yeah,
and it's brought people to our doors.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. So that's, you've talked a little bit about some different ways that Impact works and some of the different partners and things that we do. Anything else just to give a lay of the land before we really kind of dig into a couple of the specific partnerships? Anything else that's helpful for people to know about, even here locally? Anything more that you want to share? Not to put you on the spot, but to kind of put you on the spot.
No, I guess one of the things is that while we are happy to, as Impact Ministry, as a ministry of the church, to be able to create these places and spaces or these serving opportunities, right? We really want people not to wait for that or to just rely on us for that. We really believe that it is part of discipleship to serve, and that shouldn't, in my opinion, that shouldn't just be something we wait on for the church to do for us, or to like grab a neighbor, go yourself. I mean, take your family, sign up for one of the things that maybe we do as a church, but then don't let that be the end. So the big thing is we really want this to be a lifestyle service, right? Just part of discipleship, part of what it means to be a Christ follower, not an event we check off our list. And I think that shines through when we do it as part of who we are as Christ followers, rather than something where we are kind of trying to just get it done.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through to people, and people, they people smell stuff, they sniff stuff out,
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to say, especially when we're, just on audio here. But, and so there is something about how you do it and why you do it that does really shine through. And so that authenticity of hey, this is what we're to be about. I'm not doing this just to have it on my Instagram page or to show that I care for poor people or something like that.
Yep.
That it's deeper, and it's a heart stance.
Yeah.
That's a lifestyle of service.
Yeah, Susan, I love that. When you were saying that, I was thinking about like when I first started walking with Jesus, some of the things I thought it meant was, and it's true, like I quit swearing. There was all sorts of things in my life that I'm like a Christian is supposed to do, and ways my life changed that were a little more like kind of like good, wholesome, upper Midwest cultural things, But I'm like, oh yeah, the discovery of like God's heart for the poor and for caring for the least in need. Some of the things that Impact does weren't really on my list even at that time.
Yeah.
And thinking like, oh, that was when I was started to realize, discipleship is becoming like Jesus. Even in those areas too, was like this big thing. And so it is really like, he wants to transform all of our life to look more like him, not just to look like a good person, in the sense that like I had sort of framed it was really a big step of my growth in discipleship. It was just kind of a more holistic vision of it than I think I had originally thought when I sort of really started walking with Jesus in like the late 90s, way back then.
So long ago.
So long ago. Wow.
Yeah, Chris is a puppy.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Susan. I think that's a good segue, maybe even to looking at a couple specific partnerships and Adam being able to share a little bit of what you guys are doing downtown. I've heard some cool stories lately about how that's been going. So maybe just kind of hand things over to you for a moment, just to, what is it that you're doing downtown right now? How have you seen God at work in the midst of those right now?
Yeah, well, our community, we are downtown. So we're right in kind of the heart of the UW Madison campus in downtown. And we always say we love being a church downtown, especially in the summer. I feel like there's nowhere better in Dane County to be than downtown Madison, because you got the lakes, you got the terrace.
Yep.
There's so many great outdoor spaces. In the fall, you've got football and you got all the fun things, which is all true. But there's sort of the less glamorous side of being a church downtown. And with all the perks and sort of fun, flashy privileges, you also see a lot of sort of the brokenness that sometimes can get missed. Sometimes in Dane County, if you kind of spread out to the more kind of like comfortable spaces. And so for us, being a church downtown means we want to like lean into the fun, in the beauty, and we also want to lean in to serve in some of the places where there's a little more friction or brokenness or pain, and what it means to be downtown. And so for us, that means getting to be part of some really cool partnerships that have existed long before I was ever around. So thanks to Susan and to others who helped set up some things for us, especially with the Beacon, which is a day shelter that serves those who are at risk of and experiencing homelessness in Dane County. And then also with a really cool public school that most people don't know anything about called Capitol High School, which serves sort of an at-risk, very small kind of niche population of students in Madison. And they have just the best, the coolest staff and educators who are doing really kind of hard work over there. And in both of those places, I feel like, especially coming out of COVID, when so many nonprofits that really depend on volunteers really saw volunteer hours just drop off. Like Americans in general just quit volunteering. I think as a church downtown, our kind of relationships with a lot of those organizations also just suffered from that. Well, since then, we've just seen our relationship really kind of grow, and our community in some ways kind of step into that void that they were feeling, in a way that's been fun. So I feel like the folks at the Beacon, and especially at Capitol High School, we're not just partners. Like, we're not just doing good things together, like we have signed some contracts to get good things done, but I feel like we're like actually friends. And you know how like when you have like a hard job to do at home, like oh my gosh, I helped this friend a couple years ago. Oh, it was actually Matt Wilhelm. He called me up and he was like, Adam, I have this huge
worship pastor at Fitchburg.
He had
And
just
that's
moved
what
in.
he sounds like, apparently.
He had this big, he's like, oh, Adam, I'm trying to figure out my best Matt Wilhelm. He's like, I got this really big backyard playground set that I bought secondhand. Can you help me move it into my backyard? I think it was the middle of winter. And I'm like, sure.
Don't you hate when friends ask you to help move?
Oh, yeah. But because you're a friend, you're going to do it, right? Like, you're going to do the hard thing.
That's why you should never answer Matt's calls. It's always bad.
Tip to the wise. Don't listen to Wilhelm. But when you're friends, you just enter into things that you wouldn't enter into otherwise. Like, even if it's cold and it's hard and it's complicated and it's messy. And I feel like what's been really cool and beautiful is like we've just started to do that with each other. And not because we've agreed to something, but because we actually really care about each other. And so, and that has just feel like it's just grown more and more. Over the last few years. And to be in it. Because I feel like there are organizations all over Dane County who are doing really good, beautiful, redemptive stuff that as a church, we're not equipped to do. It's not in our wheelhouse. And frankly, we will just never be big enough or specialized enough to do. But we can jump in, we can encourage them, we can like get under the rock with them to help lift it. We can throw fuel on the fire of what they're doing. And we can encourage them when they're having like a really hard time and just help see them flourish and do the good thing that they're doing. And it's fun for us, even though they're doing the hard thing. And in ways that we could just never do by ourselves. And so when your partnership moves from like a thing that you volunteer at to a friend that you're helping do a hard thing, it goes from being a duty to like a delight. And I feel like that's where
That's good.
That's sort of what's changed in the last few years for our community downtown. I feel like that's really happened with Capitol High School, and I feel like in the last year or so, that's been what's happening with the Beacon too. So,
if you can share a little bit, like what is it when you say you're able to show up as friends for those two organizations? What does that look like? Are there any like short stories or anecdotes you can share that have just been really kind of highlights for you about how God has been at work in those things?
Yeah. So, a couple of things I can think of. I mean, we have this like standing monthly meeting where we get together at Capitol High School. We meet, we talk about things that are going on. We brainstorm ways we could help. Well, there was like a year or so ago, we had known there were some hard things happening with their staff. And this is just really weird. But we just kind of knew because we had known them. We'd logged hours. I was like, oh, it's going to be a hard day. So we stopped and we picked up donuts. And then it was sort of like, hey, guys,
of course you'd say
I know it's a hard day. So
Here's some
I
donuts.
thought you might want to all eat our feelings. And they were like, oh, like we just passed out donuts for just a regular, that would normally just be a regular coordination kind of meeting. And it was just a little simple gesture that was beyond the like, hey, we're just showing up, we're doing our thing. And I know in other ways, our team and our staff show up in each other's like personal lives in other ways too. Just a couple of weeks ago, we planned a thing where it was sort of like a field trip. And we called it kind of an explorer trip. And because you can hear about a place to serve at, you can hear, it's just like if you're going to go, you hear about one of our global partners, you can hear about cool things, but until you go and you meet somebody, then you're like, oh my gosh, I love this place. I love these people. So we were just thinking, how do we get our people to go so they can like see in the good work and love it? So anyways, we planned a couple of these things, and all the people, there's the social worker at Capitol High School is really fun. She's become a friend. She would feel offended if I said kind of become a friend. Adam, we are friends. That's just what she would say. And me and Melissa Cheeks, who is our welcome coordinator, we're supposed to all be there. I had like a serious flu. Melissa had like something happen with her family, and Kelly, the social worker, all got sick. And we're like, oh no, who's going to do this? Well, we'd planned this thing, and some other people from the neighborhood, one of the other partners had showed up to come, and we had some volunteers who showed up. Well, the night before, there had been a shooting in Madison. And the person who was involved, who was killed, was connected to Capitol High School, was a former student. And so that day was like just a super hard day for the staff. And we hadn't planned it. We didn't know it. But, we'd prepared to bring all the staff like treats and goodies and stuff for this kind of in-service day. And just for us to be there on a day that we didn't know was going to be extra hard and sad for them was like really significant. Even though we weren't the ones doing it, it was actually better that the rest of our community kind of got to show up and love on them and realize like, oh, our friendship here matters, not just our volunteer hours. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's been a couple examples of how that works out.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So many just incredible things. We could go on and on sharing different stories. I've got some in my head too, and things that have been happening around here lately. But Susan, what can people do if they want to learn more, like are intrigued by this conversation, want to look for ways that maybe God is inviting them to step in and just serve? What would you recommend?
That's a great question. They can, I would say, learn more is the first thing. If you are intrigued about something in particular, so if it was something that Adam said specifically about like site partnerships, if you go downtown, you can talk to Adam or Melissa Cheeks about how to engage and how to get into that. If you're at a specific site at Brighter Way, you could talk to Chris Kopp or Corey Davis about how to engage with Brighter Way stuff. And then the same with Fitchburg. They have Leopold and BPNN, and you could ask Daniel.
Yep.
You could ask Pastor Daniel. So each of our sites has one school partnership just so everybody knows. And then 1 or 2 other great partners. And I loved how you just described everything, Adam, because that's what we're shooting for. That's why it's such a good stories to share, because of how great downtown is doing, just being really a part of building relationships, because that's what these partnerships are. We don't have contracts or anything like that. But that is our hope, is that it would get to that point where we would lean on each other. This isn't just about, Blackhawk's this big church. We need prayers too. We need friends too. So it's very much a mutual relationship. So if you're interested in learning more about those mutual relationships, Impact Ministry, you could contact us. Any of who I've mentioned, we'd be happy to get you connected or talk to you more, answer some questions. And then any of the other things, like we talked about Go Teams and the Global National Servants, we actually have what we call an encouragement team. You could sign up for that and be paired with one global or national servant, a family that you build relationship with, get to know, encourage, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just we could sit here for at least a day and a half, tell a story, something like that. Yeah. So that's what I would say is you can get on the website. There's information under serve for serving the community and serving the world. I would click away, learn, just looking. Read and see what pops in your head, and in your heart, from what we just talked about to what pops off the page, and then follow the instructions to get more information and maybe get connected.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and even, I don't know, I'm thinking of Love Madison coming up. Sometimes we just serve or sign up for the thing that seems easiest, and I get that. Like in the stage of family life that we're in right now, there's probably only so many of them. I don't think I want to entrust my kid to a hammer and nails or something like that. And yet, for some of us, whether it's just as we are serving as part of that, I'm just kind of being prayerful about how God is using our partnerships around here. Or maybe you intentionally sign up for something that in the back of your mind is like, what could it look like to serve on a regular basis and not just as a one-time thing. And even I was thinking earlier when you brought up Love Madison, probably if you've been around for any period of time, people know what it is, or you'll hear about it soon. And yet even just the name Love Madison, I love that that's what it's called. Like,
that's what we do.
Our posture here is our city is not a battlefield. We love this city for all of the reasons we've just talked about, and for a whole lot of other ones too. And we want to love and to serve them, not just as projects, but as potential friends and people to be loved. And we want them to flourish. We want us to flourish together. And there's incredible things happening in the city that we get to be a part of. So maybe as we begin to wrap up, for either of you, Adam, whether it's the specific friendships, partnerships that you just talked about, or Susan on a larger scale, what are ways that people could be praying for the things that are happening right now? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, well, we just took one of these field trips to the Beacon downtown. And so, the Beacon was built, and they were thinking they would serve about 70 people a day. And on some of the coldest days in the winter, they serve about 350.
Wow.
It's the only place in Dane County where there's free showers that are private, where you can get your laundry done privately or for free. And the folks who are there, oh man, when I think about heroic, hard work, they are doing it.
Yeah.
I think their oldest guest who visits them right now is 95. So the majority of their guests are actually past retirement age. And their youngest guest right now is something like 3 months old.
Wow.
So they just have, the woman who works there says, it feels like we're running what's the word? Like an old folks home, and so they just are doing a really hard job. And so with a population that's pretty difficult, with a lot of trauma and stuff, in a community, Dane County, which has all sorts of ideals that we that doesn't always live up to the values that they say they support. And so I just think pray for the beacon. So I left feeling really encouraged by the staff and by the folks who came with us wanting to serve, but also just feeling kind of overwhelmed by the need that they're facing in that place. And so there are people who really need to be loved and supported. And it's a pretty overwhelming task. So I think you pray for those folks in particular right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I would say, I specifically, when you asked that question, Chris, I just thought of global servants who are in harm's way right now with what's going on in the Middle East, and they're okay, but a lot of their friends, which then vicariously are our friends as well, are in danger, you know. And when we see the news and we turn the news off, they live the news. They live this reality that's happening. And I can't wrap my head around that. God knows and God can. So I think that's what just pops for me, is just what's happening right now. As far as the stuff with Iran and I would say Ukraine, just all the conflicts in the world, and that these, you know, it's one of those things again where we can think about something and we can pray about something, which is good to do. And we can learn about it and we can see something on TV or talk to somebody about their experience. But when you're in something, when you're in it, when you're living it, it's quite different. And so, I would ask for prayer for folks, people who are trying to serve and love people in war zones, I guess, is the easy way to say the prayer request.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing those, you guys. Yeah, hopefully if you've made it to the end, if you've made it this far, opportunity even to be intentional ourselves with like, is there something that God is piquing your interest in with this? And maybe you're not in a season of life right now where you can do something drastic or take a big step. And yet, can you be praying for the things that you two just mentioned and find small ways to be learning about our community, about these organizations, and to prayerfully consider what might be next. So thanks for the ways that you guys shared about what's going on, and can find out, like Susan said, a whole lot more at the website by going and just starting to click around, or talk to your site pastor. We'd love to talk to you more too about some of the partnerships that we have unique to our sites and that kind of thing too. So you guys, thank you for your time and for jumping in on this conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Fun.
Yeah, let's do it more often.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and that'll be it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Next Steps. Don't forget to check out the show notes for a list of resources if you'd like to keep the conversation going. If you want to learn more about how to get connected at Blackhawk or simply find tools to help you grow, check out blackhawk.church/hub. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. Until next time, let's keep following Jesus together.